finish that. That's the beginning of it. That was Story of My Life by Social Distortion.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know how to finish that one either.
Yeah. Hey, everybody.
Hi. Stream of consciousness to start our podcast number 11.
That's it. I think it's 11.
Yeah, it is.
All right.
It is, because last one was our first double digit.
Double digits.
We're 11 years old now.
Yeah, that was I've been trying to learn that one. Like, all I do is learn, as I said, learn like the first 10 seconds of songs.
Are you watching YouTube to learn this,
Yeah,
or just
100%.
you are?
100%. Yeah. I can kind of like, I know most of the chords now, but I just basically learned like the first 10 or 15 seconds of a song, because when people are around, they don't want to listen to like 4 minutes of like the same strumming pattern. So I play like the first 10 or 15, and I was like, oh, that's great. Oh my God.
And then you just change the subject and play the next 10 to 15 chords of something.
Yeah. So that was Story of My Life by Social Distortion. You ever heard of them?
Mm-hmm. I've heard of them.
So I went through a big
that's
like
rock
punk
music,
punk rock phase in high school and college.
Is that when you had long hair?
This is when I had long hair. No, I loved it. And we used to always jam to that in college and everything, and it was just so I'm learning it. That's it. But yeah,
Cool.
YouTube videos.
Nice.
Yeah.
You can learn a lot on YouTube.
You can learn a lot of
There's
things.
a lot
on
of
YouTube.
things you can see on YouTube. You know what else you can see on YouTube?
What's that?
The Alternative Daily.
You can see us there,
can
and
see
with
our
you,
videos.
with your face. Was there? When did YouTube come around? I don't know. It was like, because we didn't have it in college. I don't think it was. I didn't have it in
My
college.
first year of college was when Facebook became available to college students.
The Facebook.
The Facebook.
That's
what it was. It was the Facebook.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
But I didn't have it.
I remember that you had to have a .edu email.
So I have a really funny story about that. So he's probably laughing as I'm saying this. When it first came out, I was a senior in college when our college got it, and I always thought it was stupid and I didn't want anything. So one night, my roommate decided to take a picture of me going to the bathroom and put it on the Facebook
as
my profile picture. And so I was like, oh, whatever, that's stupid. And I never thought anything of it because I never even checked it or anything. So fast forward 5 years later, I'm sitting there at one of my jobs. So like I'm out of college now for 5 years, and I'm talking to like one of like the vendors and stuff. And this is like when Facebook was getting really popular. And he was like, Jake, and I was like, yeah. And he was like, so do you go on Facebook much? And I'm like, no. I was like, I don't have an account. And he was like, I think you do. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, I found you on Facebook. And when he said that, I kind of thought, I was like, oh my God. And so I went up there and looked it up real quick. And sure enough, 5 years later, there was me.
Still on the toilet.
Still, yes. And so I called up my college roommate. I was like, what is going on? I was like, you need to take that down. He's like, I don't even remember the password for that. I have no clue.
Oh my God.
So I actually had to get in touch with Facebook. I had to email them and say, listen,
hello, Mark.
I
have an emergency.
And I said, that picture up there is me. I'm not denying that. I was like, but it was a college roommate that did it, and it was years ago. I don't want an account. Can you please shut it down? And they did shut it down within 2 or 3 days. So
that's so funny. People get in trouble. I mean, Facebook, of course, and we'll talk about that later as it ties into one of our articles. Yeah. But it's amazing how people, I know people that have lost out on jobs before because of what's been posted on Facebook.
At that same job, when I was interviewing somebody it was actually a TV personality thing, and I looked her up, and she's very, very attractive lady, and that didn't play into our decision, but she interviewed okay, and I looked on Facebook, and she was just, you could see she was like down in like Jack Daniels and just like partying, but that was like everything was like exposed out there. I was like, that's kind of cool, but
not for work,
not for this website.
Yeah.
So. But
you gotta be careful.
I do that. Like I check everybody's thing if they interview.
Like
if I interview them and say, hey, what do they look like? What what's going on? I don't hold.
That's why I always put up a bikini pic before I go for an interview.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Hired.
Perfect. Yeah, unless it's with the woman who's interviewing you, they don't necessarily like that. It's funny because I was back in those days. I had a theory like I don't think women don't like women, but it was just maybe. I don't know where that came from, but
that's okay.
It was kind of like one of those.
I think women are much harder on other women.
Yeah, it was just in terms of like interview process. That's what I meant. Like kind of like when people come in and interview, like women were definitely harder on that person interviewing that was a woman as opposed to a guy or whatever. And another funny story: the same place where I was interviewing people, I had a guy who come in because we needed like a graphic designer, and the guy came in just literally reeking like alcohol and cigarettes. So I was like, whatever, okay, this is good stuff, good. And he was showing me his videos that he was making of like it was like. People like stabbing each other, like it was like kind of like a animated thing where like they were like it was almost like it wasn't for a video game, it was like for his like that's what he did for fun, was like make videos of people like stabbing in blood, and I was like, this is not going well.
Speaking of funny interviews, I worked at an office one time when I was leaving, and they were hiring somebody to replace me. And so I was a part of the interview process, just like talking to people and whatever. And a girl came in dressed like in a tube top dress that was a bathing suit cover up.
Wow. What was the position for?
Oh, like on a marketing team for a corporate sales office.
Of what company was it? You don't have to say that. Was it?
It's not a place where you would wear a bathing suit and wedge heels. Yeah. You know what I mean? Maybe after. I mean, we were casual. I wore jeans once I had the job, but I never would dress like that for a job interview. It's dicey.
I worked for an herbal supplement company right after this job that I was just talking about. And it was very, very earthy there. Mm-hmm. And so when I was going in for the interview, the guy was like, really, you don't have to dress up. It's just really casual here. And they did really well. It was like it was a really cool job. And I showed up in big suit, tie, and everything. And everybody had jeans and sandals on and stuff like that. And so I interviewed and everything. And they said, we'd like you to come back for a second interview. And he's like, and you can dress down. And I was like, you sure? So I put on I did put on khakis and still had a button up, and I got the job. And he was like, you can dress down for your first day. So I was like, what does that mean? And he was like, you can wear whatever you want. So I wore jeans and shoes and a polo. And then it digressed when I was like, people are just wearing shorts and sandals. So it was I liked that. It was really kind of a cool mentality for me. I loved that.
I love being able to work in places. I mean, obviously working with you and some of the other TV stuff that I do, it all depends on, the job that I get to dress pretty casual for everything.
Yeah.
But that one office job that I had, it was really nice because you could sort of dress down.
Yeah.
Because, I see Colin, my boyfriend, get ready every single day for work, and it's the tie and the button-down shirt, and sometimes he has to bring a jacket. It just looks so hot, first of all. It's as much as I hate being a woman and having to wear high heels, I imagine being you, a gentleman, having to wear a jacket and a whole suit, and how hot that must be.
Especially in South Florida, going for, or anywhere during the summer and going to
lunch.
Oh,
a day like today, how humid it is?
Oh my God. You're just sitting there just sweating and I don't miss it. I remember having to go now my work clothes, I buy the shirt is called
t-shirt.
Next Level. It's not the same t-shirt. I have different colors. I have gray, different shades of gray and different shades of blue. But they're $6 a piece from Amazon. I love them. But before I had to get button down shirts from Express.
Yeah.
And the pants and the shoes. And it was kind of cool because it was my first real dress up job. But then it was
it gets so old
awful.
So quickly.
Yeah, so quickly. And I did find when I was, even now I don't like dressing up at all. But when I had the other job where it's really casual, sometimes I'm going to put on a shirt and tie today just for the hell of it. But and the first virtual job that I had, we had kind of a team meeting. We were just kind of sitting there talking, and when I put my webcam on, I had a shirt and tie on, but I had my bathing suit bottoms on.
I did that for a Skype interview one time.
So funny.
I put a pretty blouse on and then just sat there in my pajama pants.
But
that's the mullet. That's the retail version of a mullet, right? It's business on top, party on the
bottom.
That's
right. That's so funny. I did have somebody one of the jobs that it was a virtual job that I was always casual in, and one of the higher ups wanted to have do a Skype chat. And when we did Skype chat, we just always did audio. And then we did we did audio, and he was like, "Oh, let's do video. Let's see what's going on." And I was like, "Oh my God!" And I had I did have kind of a crappy T-shirt, so I had to hurry up and go put another one on. And it was just there's a commercial about that right now of everybody wants to video chat, and everybody some guys on the couch eating something or doing whatever, and they all have to kind of quickly gather together. But
when Colin and I first started dating, after a couple of months, he moved back to North Carolina to finish school. So we did a long distance relationship for 2.5 years. And that's when I had met you. We were in a long distance relationship. And it was funny, when we would decide to Skype or FaceTime or video chat.
That's so weird.
It is so weird.
Because I guess it's normal now.
It is so normal, but even a couple years ago, it was not as popular,
Yeah.
And then it's I haven't seen my boyfriend, so it's oh, I want to look nice, I want to look pretty, but then it's you got to position the laptop so that it's not giving you a weird
really
chin
do
thing.
that?
Of course.
Oh my God.
If that was the only way I was going to see my boyfriend, I wanted him to remember that I was hot.
The worst is you're right. You do have to position because if you have it down low like this,
it's really unattractive.
You can see your my 8 chins or whatever. But then if you're laying down, it's just I get that.
It was stressful.
But now even doing it with my wife, I'm just yeah, she can see my 8th chin right now.
Yeah. Oh, now I don't care. I FaceTime with my sister and I barely hold the phone up.
Oh man, that's funny. It's just so funny how things have gone since college. So the one we have a good show for everybody.
We do have a really
sorry
good
for
show.
our little So when Megan comes over, we do not talk at all. So we got to really catch up. So good show today. We're going to talk here about we've never done this, but I'll just say we're going to talk about marijuana. We're going to talk about some smoothies and supplements. We're also going to talk about that Virginia shooting that happened yesterday and the tragedy of that. And then Megan has a really cool story she wants to, or a topic. It's about the humans of New York.
Yeah.
She wants to talk about. But first, the one thing I actually wanted to, it's a quick segue, but I actually had to go to the doctor this week. And I told Megan I want to talk about this, and she's like, "What? Are you okay?" And I was like, "I'm not going to tell you till we're on air."
And I told him I didn't want him to hear anything if it was going to be bad.
So the box of tissues are over there. No, like I don't like going to like the regular doctor. A lot of people say that, but I just really don't. Like, because I try to live a more alternative health, and I'm a really healthy guy. But probably like on Friday or Saturday, I started getting chest pains. Like really bad chest pains, like right up in my heart. I'm grabbing my left boob right now, but that's where it was hurting. And I know that my grandfather had died of a heart attack. He had like 2 heart attacks, I think. So I've always just kind of taken the heart thing seriously. And before I got healthy, so about 5 or 6 years ago, when those people found me on Facebook on the toilet, I had really bad high blood pressure, anxiety, just really unhealthy. Like everything was just off the charts for my numbers. It was really bad. And I changed everything around naturally. I didn't have to take any drugs, just changed everything around naturally. And so, but anything when the heart comes up, I get concerned because something could just out of nowhere, you're just gone. So I, kind of dealt with it all weekend. And then like on Monday night, I kind of like woke up and there was definitely like a hard chest, it's a shooting pain, right? Nothing crushing. And so, of course, I start looking it up. I'm like, is it a heart attack, whatever.
Go to WebMD. It's like you're dying.
It's like I did. I took one of those symptom checkers, and it was like, you're showing symptoms of a heart attack. Go talk to a doctor. And I'm like, oh, my God, this guy sucks. So I called our favorite friend, Dr. Josh. I also talked to a couple people, Susan on our team, who knows a lot about this type of thing. And then both of them said that they thought it was nothing crazy, but I should go to the doctor. So I made an appointment. I was like, God, when you make an appointment, they usually schedule you like 2 or 3 weeks out. And I was like, I just want to get this checked out. So not apparently when it comes to chest pain. You tell them you're having chest pain.
They'll see you right away.
So we'll get you in here. I called them at 1. They said, can you come at 3? I was like, perfect. So I go in there, and I have no clue what they're going to say or anything like that, but I just know that it's just kind of like getting uncomfortable. It's like these little shooting pains or whatever. And so I just do not like doing this whole, primary care physician thing. And, the people in there hate their jobs. They're sitting in there, give me your insurance card, blah, blah, blah.
Behind that glass thing.
Behind that glass thing. And like, co-pays and deductibles. I hate talking about that stuff all the time. And so, excuse me. So the only reason I'm doing this is because it's my heart, right? I very rarely, if like anything else hurts, I'm a trooper and go through it. So I go in there and she says, I'm still like, it took me like 15 minutes to fill out like the paperwork.
And then you remember you have to do the back side of the pages.
And then they talk about like, do you smoke and everything? I'm like, well, I did smoke in college, and so I'm writing all these stuff down. It's like, history of heart disease. I'm like, oh my God, what is so? It's like taking all this time, and like the lady comes in. I'm like, I'm not done with the paperwork yet. She's like, take your shirt off. We got to do an EKG. So they did an EKG.
Wow.
So did EKG on me, and she said that she when she came back, like literally, it takes them like 5 minutes to put these EKG things on your chest and everything. Oh, so when it sucks to be hairy because it's.
Oh yeah, I was just thinking that.
I mean, I'm not like a Sasquatch here, but I'm a guy who's got chest hair, right? I trim up probably 2 to 3 times a year.
Okay.
I don't want you to think it's like full on like Ron Jeremy. It's not. Anyways, so they take it off, and I even made a joke. I was like, "This is where it sucks to be hairy." And she was like, "Ha!" And I was like, "Oh God." But the EKG took like 10 seconds. And she was like, okay. She's like, this looks fine. Took my blood pressure. Blood pressure was fine. And so the doctor came and said, well, we want to run some x-rays. Like, okay. I was like, and I don't like doing x-rays at all. But it's my heart. And so I'm thinking, I know there's some dangers of x-rays. I just prefer not to, but it's my heart. Let's just go do it. So when and it's like this really crazy, like, it's like a broom closet they have this thing in. So I go in there for like 20 minutes, and they take it, come back, and they don't see anything. And so finally the doctor comes in. She was like, we don't see anything. And I was like, and she said, we don't see anything. She was asking me all these questions. Do you exercise? I said, yeah, like 4 to 5 times a week. Does it hurt? No. And so we went through all these different little things. And she like looked like really concerned. She was like, I don't know what it is. And I was like, that's okay. I was like, as long as you tell me it's not cardiac related. She's like, it's definitely not heart related. She's like, what I actually think it is. And I have a little bit of a cold. And I told her that. And she said that she thinks it was something called pleurisy, which is there's inflammation around like the lung and, in that same area. But she seemed like but she was nice because she seemed so concerned. She was like, because I told her, I'm like, I'm not in a lot of pain. I just want to get this checked out. And she was like, I just think it's pleurisy, but I don't know. And I'm so sorry. I'm like, that's okay. As long as you tell me my heart's okay. She's like, everything is checking out for your heart. I just think it's just something around there. So I was like, okay. But it just kind of made me think of like, but I only saw her for maybe 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah, of course.
And then, and I called Dr. Josh, was talking to him. He, he devotes a whole hour to somebody and they walk through and they talk all these things. I talked to her for maybe 10, 15 minutes, maybe at the most. She's very nice, but it was just like not that kind of good, relationship that there needed to be, because she was just asking all the different things off her like sheet and everything. But the pain has subsided.
Oh, that's good.
And it's I'm getting over the cold, and I think it's actually what it was part of after talking back with Dr. Josh and everything. So it's just going through those, and it wasn't like I was scared or anything. It was just like, I just don't want to go through this whole thing of going to the primary care thing. But
it's so important that you do that, and I feel like a lot of people don't do those things. I'm the exact opposite of you. I don't love going to the doctor, but I go every year. Yeah. I go every year, to a primary care physician and get blood work done. I go to a dermatologist every 6 months.
Yeah.
Like I'm like that. And I am in a relationship with somebody that's more like you, where Colin, to get him to go to a doctor, I mean, forget about it. He'd have to be going in a body bag, you know? So I think it's interesting how different people are, but it can be scary, and I'm sure even for the doctor when they're telling you they don't know, but as long as it's not a big deal,
right. Yeah, so that was my experience. And this is the same doctor. It wasn't actually the same. It was the same office that I went to when I was having my anxiety and everything. And they're like, we just don't know what to tell you. And so it's fine. I guess I like it when we don't know what to tell you.
It's better to have them say that than they know something
but
terrible.
But there was like this old guy in there, and he was like screaming, but like not like mad, but because that's how he communicates. And the doctors were kind of screaming back, but you could tell the doctor was getting annoyed. And
it can be very stressful going to a doctor's office or a dentist.
Dentist doesn't bother me at all.
Really?
Because literally, I'm sure this has happened in a few cases where you go to the dentist and they tell you something like really bad. I'm not talking about cavities. I'm not even talking about like periodontal disease. I'm talking about like mouth cancer and stuff like that. But that doesn't happen to a lot of people that I know that go there.
Right.
So it's like, okay, this is going to be uncomfortable. I actually fall asleep in the dentist chair because I can put myself into that kind of like peaceful state where I'm just like, there in my mouth. It's probably disgusting, but I'm not doing it, and I'm numb, so whatever. But
oh man, that's the one that gives me the most stress.
So that was my doctor's visit. So I'm okay.
So you're okay. So we'll be back next week with a new podcast.
Yeah. No, but the whole point of that was just like, it's just such, especially kind of the whole Western medicine, conventional doctors, there's just like no relationship building there. It's just
there's a total difference with how Josh treats his patients than with regular doctors.
So speaking of that, and speaking of Western medicine, and speaking of some of this old style medicine, the one thing I actually wanted to bring up, because we've gotten some questions about this and we covered this on our website too, but before I get into that, we forgot we're going to give away.
Oh my gosh, yes. I was going to say this earlier. We are going to announce today on the show the winner of our Apple Watch giveaway. Somebody is going to get an Apple Watch, and we'll announce the winner later. And we are also this week going to be giving away another Yeti cooler. But this is different than the one that we gave away the first time. And Jake showed it to me, and we did like a little tour all around it. This thing is so badass. It is awesome.
It's a soft bag. The other one we gave was a hard one. It's a bag. It's a soft one. It's actually made out of the same stuff that they make the whitewater rafts out of.
It's so cool.
It is really cool. And so I actually have one of these, and it's perfect because I know that fall's coming up, and people who do watch football and do all that stuff.
This is perfect for tailgating.
Perfect for all of your fall activities. So we will tell you how you can win one of these awesome Yeti. It's called a Yeti Hopper.
A Yeti Hopper.
Hopper. You hop around with it.
Nice.
And so we'll tell you how you win that in just a little bit. Yeah. But anyway, so switching gears again. So kind of that Western medicine versus kind of getting over that that
what was it called?
Pleurisy.
Pleurisy.
Yeah, whatever. So I want to talk a little bit about marijuana, medical and both recreational. I was talking with some friends about this, and
While you were smoking a joint?
While I was I can't, and that's part of the story is I'm just so bad at it. and I really am.
You're such a square. You're literally bad at smoking weed.
I'm bad at smoking weed. I actually don't smoke it anymore. But it just in kind of like the way that the I guess I don't want to say, actually we can. The way that politics are going, the way the whole kind of social outlook is going. It seems like more and more states are going to slowly legalize this for medicinal and possibly even for recreational.
Yeah.
Which I think is actually a good thing. I'm kind of, as I'm getting at my older age, getting more libertarian as opposed to extremely liberal, as when you leave college most people are. But the classification, and I want to get your thoughts on it because I know that you have some thoughts on this. The classification of it as a drug, is that I have a couple questions here. Is that a legit classification for it?
What's interesting is obviously this is such a huge hot button topic, and it's cool because I have so many different perspectives on it. But one thing that I was just watching on the news the other day, there were statistics that were saying that as of now, about approximately 50% of Americans have tried marijuana at least once. I mean, There are celebrities that, admit to it. The president, people have admitted, to using it. Yeah. And they say about 1 in 2 Americans admit to using it or at least having tried it. And younger generation, our generation, 70% approve, legalizing it.
Right.
And it's cool because one of my best friends lives in Denver, Colorado. And of course, we all know Colorado being, one of the really progressive states that is
the state has legalized it, but it's still a federal law.
Oh, yeah, it's still a federal law thing. So you can still get in trouble, quote, with certain amounts of marijuana and how you're using it or distributing it. But as far as it being a regulated thing in Colorado and in certain states, you can you can walk into a store and purchase marijuana just as easily as now you could walk into a store and purchase
a beer,
or I was going to say a candy bar or, contact solution, because it's almost like being in a pharmacy, right? And it's amazing because if you've ever been to Colorado or states that are now getting all of this income from marijuana and the sale of marijuana, my girlfriend was telling me in Denver, for example, schools are doing so well. They put so much money, millions of dollars going to education and roads. And, I think there's an interesting balance.
Has there been an uptick in people who smoke? Is because they legalized it, or more people smoking, or is it just the fact that maybe a little bit more, but it's the base that was smoking before, but now they're dumping that money into the state? I
think that now they're dumping that money into the state. Think about it. If you're not somebody that wants to smoke marijuana, whether or not it's legal, you're probably not going to smoke it.
Right.
That's just the,
Right.
if you are
you might
try it or you won't be as afraid, right? But certain people, that do smoke it, if you think about, the dangers of drug dealers and that whole underground thing and the crime. I'm going to give you an example. And I'm just going to go off on something.
Go off on it.
So we all know about this horrible man, Jared Fogle, the subway guy and the whole thing. Okay. Yeah. He admitted to what he did, those sex crimes and whatnot. And he's, I think, going to get 6 to 7 years in federal prison. There are people that are serving 2, 3, 4, 5 times the amount for just distributing marijuana.
It's crazy.
And it's so crazy if you think about somebody with, child pornography or sleeping with, a minor, getting, 1/5 the amount of time that some dude that in the 70s is still serving time in federal prison for moving quantity of marijuana. But, then certain people my grandmother or my stepfather are much more conservative and, they see it as a drug and people see it as a drug.
What do you see? Is it for you a drug or no?
No, it's not. It's not a drug. No, I don't see it as a drug.
Was it for you as a drug 10 years ago? Did you classify it as a drug 10 years ago?
No, 10 years ago, I was, no. 10 years
15 years ago in high school.
In high school.
If somebody said, drugs, did you, in your head?
Yeah, you think weed.
Yeah.
You think weed. When you're young, that's what you learn in school. You have to
be the Dare Bear.
You have the Dare Bear. You have the hat, the black T-shirt with the red lettering. But, it's so interesting because in this day and age, and there are so many things, because I am a big proponent for legalizing and decriminalizing marijuana. Where I live in Miami-Dade County in South Beach, in Miami Beach, our mayor just passed a local legislation that says if you are caught or arrested and you have in possession, I believe it's under 100 grams, something
Right.
a large amount. That's a lot of money. But if you're not like moving mass quantities, it's up to the police officer's discretion. You can get a ticket now.
Wow.
I could get caught. Let's say if I have marijuana, on me, a couple grams of marijuana.
What is a couple grams? I'm terrible. I'm an old man.
Think about it in weight. Yeah. Okay. If you get caught with a baggie, people go to jail for that.
Yeah.
People get arrested. It's on records. People's lives get ruined, right? For having $50 worth of marijuana.
Right.
Now it's a ticket. It's a $150 ticket.
Wow.
So it just shows you like how quickly that is changing. There are things that you have to think as well. If I want to think about it on the other side, people that smoke marijuana, those people could get behind cars. They could drive.
Yeah, that's definitely a big issue.
But there are things that show that people behind the car that are high on marijuana are much safer drivers than people behind the wheel that are drunk. Absolutely. Have you ever been stoned? You're like, I don't want to drive fast. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that.
And I remember when people did it, and it was back when I hung around people that did it all the time, like the college days. It was like it's like a video game. The car, the road's coming at you. That's not safe. I'm all for it, but you can't drive with it. You can't.
No, but you shouldn't be able to drive with alcohol either.
And you can't.
Right, but it's the same thing. I mean, it's not.
I think they should be able to test you. If there's a way,
I'm sure they'll figure something like that out at some point.
Yeah, I don't want to
now
sound.
you can do a urine test or a blood test.
Debbie Downer, but you shouldn't be driving with.
You shouldn't be driving with any of that stuff.
Stay at home and smoke.
Absolutely, it's much more fun. Order delivery.
So that's the recreational side of things, and I've evolved in that because like for a while I actually was against it, but because as somebody who smoked some in college, I just didn't. I guess I wasn't as informed on a lot of different things about it, but I'm all for it now. But especially from the medicinal side of things. Oh my gosh, yes. And this is the thing that just boggles me. I understand why people have been so conservative about not trying to pass the recreational side. It's just trying to get past that whole kind of like old style tradition. I get that, but the medicinal stuff is just ridiculous. I don't know why it's not getting passed. And it was brought up on one of the ballots here last year in Florida for medicinal marijuana.
And we were so close. It was like 48-52.
No, here's the thing. It was actually to win, it had to be like 67 or 70%. It wasn't majority. It had to be like super majority thing. And it did get like 63%, and it still didn't pass. In Florida, so as I'm aware of this, though, is actually, I guess, a good thing. Here's one of the arguments. It's a good thing because it wasn't rewriting the because that was for rewriting the Constitution for the Florida Constitution, and you don't want that written in the Constitution. So it's going to be brought up here again, but it's not going to be something that's going to be. And I think this is what I've been reading correctly. It's not going to be written in the Constitution. It's just going to be like, I guess, another law or whatever. So it's coming up again in Florida, which I think is good. But for the medicinal side, I mean, with anybody with MS and with any of these like really crazy debilitating diseases, cancer.
My boyfriend's uncle has Parkinson's, and he uses cannabis oil sometimes. He lives in Alaska,
CBD oil,
and it's like it really helps him.
And so there's two sides of that. It helps with pain, right? It helps with the chronic pain that people have with it. But there's also been signs of of cancers and other things that have actually started to kind of where the cannabis has started to fight against it and winning. And so it's not so much anymore because everybody thought before it was just for pain, which is good, right? But it's actually helping to fight against some of these really terrible diseases. So, and it's just crazy because I actually do know a friend of my family who actually he's a young kid who's got just in a wheelchair, MS I think is what it is, and it was just something just really bad. And so they were looking forward to getting it when it was going to pass, and they didn't. So. Hopefully they're finding ways to get them in it anyways.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's the thing is then these people that need it for true medicinal reasons, if they live in a place like Florida where it's illegal, then that means sometimes people desperate times, they go through illegal ways to get it, and then that puts themselves in jeopardy if they're doing something. And it's one of those things where I think we're seeing in our generation people sort of loosening up and being a little bit less conservative. It's funny that you're saying this because the other night Colin and I were watching TV.
The other night, you and Colin were ripping a bong.
Probably. And we were watching TV, and a commercial came on for one of these, sleep aids, like one of these prescription medicines that you can get to help you sleep. And Colin said, do you know what's going to be crazy is one day when we turn on the TV and you see a commercial that's like, are you having a hard time sleeping? Try this strain of marijuana, ask your doctor. And I said, I was like, I hope that happens because all of a sudden I'm going to have insomnia. No, but it's true. I mean, you think that maybe one day.
They have had it in tablet form. They have had it for a very long time, and they were in certain severe cases that you could get a prescription for it. But now, I mean, it's good. I mean, especially for if you need it to sleep. I mean, I don't know. I guess try it, but try other things too. Meditation.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think it's great. I mean, for me, it's like having a glass of wine at the end of the night, the end of the day.
I'm terrible at it. So I was just talking to somebody earlier this morning about this, that I was a terrible weed smoker. Like 80% of the time I was paranoid and wigged out, and 20% of the time I was fine. And it was just like, my thing was, if I smoked it, I was always like, I got to go home. I got to go home. I got to go home. And just recently, I'll share this. I've told all of them, so it's okay now. It was, I think, so Noah's 3. So it was about 2 years ago. We just had a baby, right? We just had a baby. And it was Gina and I's first night out. Like, my parents had the baby and everything. This was really funny. And so we went out and just kind of like, we were just going to kind of go out and just have a good time. We went out to a really nice restaurant that we always go to. And then we stopped by our friend's house and decided, and I won't name any names, but we decided that one of them said, hey, do you want to smoke? And I was like, I haven't smoked in like years. Yeah, this is my first night out of freedom. Sure, let's do it. And they said, here you go. And I was like, right here in the house? And they were like, and she was like, yeah, it's completely fine. I'm like, oh my God. And so I did it. And so it was literally, I felt like, I don't want to be sexist, but I felt like that girl at a party where you can tell where it's like she's starting to have fun shit, and then she's having the time of her life, and then it's going to be a train wreck. Because all of a sudden I actually started saying stuff like this. Oh my God, I just love Sublime. Don't you love Sublime? Oh, this song's great. And they like all were looking at me, and I'm like, and so I was laughing and geeking out, and finally Gina was like, we got to go. And I'm like, and so I was fine at that point because I'm with my friends. And then it hit me as we were in the car with Gina. I was like, shit, we have to go back to my parents' house to get my daughter. And I felt like I was like teleported back, 15 years ago in high school. So Gina took video of this. The entire ride back, I was like, Gina, please don't take me to my mom's house. Don't take me to my mom's house. Just drop me off. She's like, Jake, it's just going to take 2 seconds. We'll just go in there and get Noah and come out. And I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. So here's what literally happened. So we pull up to my parents' house. And I'm like, what's my escape plan? I was like, because I cannot talk to my mom. And Gina's recording this. It's really funny. And so we get out of the car. I don't know why, I took my shoes off and I just run down the street to my house. And so I went in there. My mom was like, where's Jake? And she was like, oh, he just, went home real quick. He had to go to the bathroom. But I just did not want to go home. I mean, I do go to my parents' house like that. So
that is so funny.
Yeah, I was just a bad weed smoker. So it kind of just always put me in like I kind of like having, I don't want to say control, but it kind of, I don't know. I always got paranoid with it. So I'm all for it.
Just not for you doing it.
It's not for me. It's not for me. I guess because here's the thing. Like, so when I like beer and stuff, I do like a good beer, like good quality stuff. Like I know that I can have like 1 or 2 or 3, whatever. But like I guess with weed, I've never known
your limit.
Yeah, is it like a little bit? It's definitely not a lot, but I don't know. So good. Yes, good for all of our marijuana smokers, and but then also good for everybody that's going through some really tough times. Hopefully that can help out too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which kind of so talking about marijuana kind of segues into a little bit about supplements, because we talked a little bit about the CBD oil and everything like that, and so you're actually seeing a lot of CBD oil come into supplements. And so we've actually been in this. If you're listening to Wind Your Yeti Cooler, this is where you should your ears should definitely perk up. But I wanted to talk a little bit about supplements and about like what I take and if Megan takes any. But on a daily basis, I don't take CBD oil. I have used hemp oil and stuff on salads, and it's cool. But every day, every morning, I wake up and I do a greens drink. We've been actually getting a lot of questions about like what did Jake and Megan take and stuff like that. So I do a morning greens drink, which I actually just shared with you, and you said that you're all out now.
I'm already out.
So I have to give you another bag.
I have the best job. I just come here and raid Jake's
but there's
pantries.
there's tons of greens in there. You have your your chlorella, your spirulina.
I find that it gives me energy.
Yeah, awesome. I wake up and have that
And still have coffee.
And
I
I still
do.
have
I
coffee
do too.
afterwards.
I
yeah.
do too.
But it's just part of like it's kind of like my, I guess you could say, my daily insurance. I'm just getting this in there. And then I've also started doing a smoothie maybe about 2 hours later after I do my workout. And in my smoothie, I do a separate greens powder that has some separate ingredients in there. And then I will actually I actually do some raw cocoa powder in there.
Oh, cool. I bet that's delicious.
It is good. And then I will actually put in some kefir. You know kefir?
I thought it was kefir.
You might be right. I've heard of both ways. I actually said it kefir for the longest time. And someone's like, it's kefir. I'm like, oh, okay. And so
Jerk.
so I put that in there for a good probiotic, and there's actually a little bit of protein in there.
That's really yummy too. I started drinking that in college.
It's like liquid sour cream, and I really like sour cream.
I like sour cream too, but it's like yogurt. It's like when kids eat those Go-Gurts.
Yeah,
that's what it reminds me of.
They're so gross. And they and so then I also put, and then I'll occasionally, if I do have other like oils, I've put like black cumin seed oil in my smoothie. But recently I've also started, and this is not a supplement, but putting raw eggs in my smoothie.
So you're just cracking an egg into the Vitamix or whatever.
Yeah. Going at it.
Okay, and?
It's awesome. Obviously, there's a lot of benefits to raw eggs, especially the yolk.
So you're using organic eggs that you can buy just from Whole Foods or something, like high quality?
Turtle eggs from the backyard. This is so disgusting. No, the actually just high quality.
Yeah, make sure you get high quality eggs.
Yeah. I'm just not getting like the cheapest ones. They're probably the most expensive ones. And so I've actually started dropping those in there. I might actually try quail eggs. Those are actually super potent. But yeah, so I've done it, and it actually makes it like really frothy.
Oh yeah.
I mean, do you not do raw eggs?
I've had this is funny. I've had a cocktail before where they've whipped it with like raw egg whites on the top, and I know it's really foamy, but I've never had a raw egg before. I would be afraid that I would hurt my stomach.
It doesn't hurt my stomach. Like, and if I cook eggs and stuff like that, they tend to run through me quickly, I guess you could say.
There's a visual.
Yeah, there's a visual. But with the raw eggs, I'm fine with it. And so it's a good source of protein too. So I started doing one for a week and I was fine. So I'm just testing my body. And then I started doing
now you're at two raw eggs?
Two. Wait till I get to a dozen.
And you're like totally jacked up. Your gray t-shirt's like stretched.
It's just so much easier than just cooking them in the morning too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, and I guess it keeps you just as full.
Yeah. And then I've also started to take like... Being in Florida, you don't have to worry a lot about D3 if you go outside. But if I know that it's like, if it's sunny, I mean, if it's cloudy and stuff, I'll take, D3 if I'm not going to be outside. So I like to keep my vitamin D up. And that's about it. I've experimented and tried some, some fish oils and some krill oils and stuff like that. But what about you? Do you take anything?
I actually take vitamin D3 every single day. I have to. When talking about how I go to the doctor every year for my annual physical, when I did the fasted blood test earlier this year, I found out that I was not deficient, but insufficient in vitamin D.
Oh, really?
And and they say that, of course, a lot of that is because, I try not, I get outside, but I try to really be careful when I'm outside of not getting any sun.
No, you need to get sun.
I know.
Because here's the deal with the sunscreen. Like it's a very controversial thing. I don't use it. I do. I do not use it. But if you're going to use it, you should at least get outside for 20 to 30 minutes and then apply it afterwards.
So I guess that would make sense that you'd have like your vitamin D and then...
Yes, because you get it and then
you can protect yourself.
No, and then you protect yourself after that. Best thing is obviously to cover up.
Yeah.
But I'm all for getting sun exposure. It's very controversial. I have a lot of family members who hate that I do it, but like on the weekends, I will just sit out there for like 30 minutes to an hour, just get my sun.
Oh my gosh, I would be so burned. So I
don't burn though.
I take vitamin D supplement every single day.
Good for you.
And I got really into those green powders. Before you gave me that one, I had found a brand at Costco that they also sell at Whole Foods. It's called like Amazing Superfoods.
Yep.
And it's a green powder, and I was just using that every single day. Like the first thing in the morning is, like hot lemon water.
Yeah.
So I was just like kicking that up a notch by adding the green powder to it. And then when I ran out of that, and you gave me those other greens that I just ran out of.
Those are called athletic greens, if everybody would.
And I have to say, the athletic greens are better than the Amazing Superfoods because the athletic greens, I noticed, they blend a little bit easier. They mix up a little bit easier, but there's also some mint in there.
Mint?
So
I haven't tasted the mint. Oh.
Well, you have to taste like crappy superfood powder then first. Because
okay.
I was tasting, like it was when I was in Alaska, I was really good about like keeping up my superfood. So before I went on the trip, I actually portioned out 12 days worth of superfood powder. And then every morning I would make it
Really?
I want to stay. Yeah, I wanted to like stay on it. And so Colin's family was joking that it was my pond
How did you
scum
portion it out? What did you do?
in a Ziploc baggie.
Why don't you just take it with you?
Because it was like a big thing. And then I was like traveling, you know, I had to be.
Well, that's why the athletic green bag is nice.
That's why the athletic green bag is awesome. I could have taken it with me. And so I portioned it out every morning, but it was like, you know, I really did. And that was my pond scum. You know, it was so thick.
Yeah.
And then this athletic greens I found is really, really good.
It's good.
And it's so much thinner in the water.
I've been trying another one too. We should actually interview her. She's really good. Her name is Dr. Anna Kabecka.
Mm-hmm.
She actually has hers. It's called Mighty Maca. So her greens.
Everybody talks about how amazing maca
It's awesome,
powder is.
and it's a really good energy burst. And so her greens, it's a different flavor. It tastes like I tried like the Garden of Life stuff, and I do that one too.
Mm-hmm.
But like the flavor's not as good as athletic greens. I actually find that Dr. Anna's flavor of her Mighty Maca is way better than athletic greens.
Maca is something that we should explore on the podcast because people
do it.
love it.
It's good for.
I've had a maca latte before. It was amazing.
Yes. It can be used for a lot of things. Energy is like number
Mm-hmm.
one, and like number 1B is male enhancement too. It's like a.
And number 1C is like women fertility. It's
Exactly.
really good for that too.
So yes, if you want to make babies or if you just want to have fun,
I'll go with
maca's
1A.
1A.
The energy.
Come on, you guys need to have babies. We need more babies around here. Just like having babies. Just.
Oh yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah, these podcasts with you and being honest are really selling me on having kids.
So we want to actually hear what supplements you guys take. Not you don't have to tell us your prescription drugs if you take that. And if you don't take any, just
Do you smoke weed?
do you smoke weed? But tell us not. We want to know if you take them and what you take. So here's what we got to do. So to win your Yeti Hopper, which has a value of, Megan, I told you I just want to see. Yeah.
$350. I just held up my fingers to make sure that was it.
So
$350 cooler.
It's
awesome.
It's a luxury cooler.
It is. I like it better even than the regular Yeti cooler.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I love it. It keeps things really cold. But like just the bag, it's got a strap on it and everything. It's perfect for going to games.
It's not huge. It's not huge at all. It's really compact.
Going to games, going to parent-teacher conferences. If you just need to pack
have a beer.
I don't know. I was just going with it. For football games, going over to your friend's house and stuff like that. It is really cool, and it can actually hold wine bottles too. Hold a bunch of wine bottles. So all you non-beer drinkers.
That's perfect.
Yeah,
you just sold me on it.
Or your Perrier and Pellegrino. I've actually started drinking
fabulous.
that. Oh, it's pretty good.
I like LaCroix too.
LaCroix?
It's like the low budget Perrier.
So here's how you win it.
All
okay.
right.
You have to email podcast@thealternativedaily. Both Megan and I check it, so make sure you're nice. Make sure you say hi.
Yeah, that's right. Say hello.
And subject line, Yeti, YETI. And tell us, say, hey, I take fish oil. I take, greens. I take vitamin D3. Just let us know what you take. We're just curious. We're just curious about what you guys are taking out there.
So that is how you can win a $350 Yeti Hopper. And look it up online. They are awesome. And we're going to give one away. And all you have to do is email us. And I just want to make a note of this. The email address, because I know sometimes people are getting bounce backs. It's podcast@thealternativedaily.com. I've seen that some people will get a bounce back and then I guess they fix it.
Because I see people say podcast@alternativedaily.com.
No, it's the Alternative Daily. Like the Facebook. It is thealternativedaily.com. Subject line Yeti. And let us know if you take any supplements, what you think about, the marijuana debate. We just love to hear from you guys about what you think of our podcast.
Yeah. So it's super easy for this one. Just tell us what supplements you take. But just say hi.
Say hi and say please and thank you. I'm always amazed at how people will just email us with just number 1. And then they'll answer the question. And then number 2 is like their address.
Yeah, and then number 2 is your address. Just send it here. I got something that you and I should work on. It was actually really nice from one of these people. Is that they say that they would like to at least hear back from us when they email us. And I told her, I said, we do get a lot of emails in, but we will try our best to. Yeah, we need
to be writing back. Okay.
So,
and I apologize for that.
Yeah. So Megan, if you want people to say hi, you have to respond back to them.
Okay. Fair enough. All right.
All right. So and then 2 weeks ago, winner
of an Apple Watch.
Of an Apple Watch. This is going to be fun.
All right. So we do randomly pick. Yeah. The winner of the Apple Watch is Mr. Jerry Seeger.
Jerry Seeger. Congratulations, Jerry.
So congratulations, Jerry. We will be reaching out to you directly to get your address so that Jake can send you an Apple Watch.
Right. What did Jerry Seeger say?
Jerry Seeger wrote in his email to us, Today's podcast was the first podcast I have listened to. I enjoyed it and plan on listening in the future. If I should be so fortunate as to win the Apple Watch, I would like you to discuss the benefits of clean eating and vegetarianism.
Oh.
Yeah. I like the playful banter between Jake and Megan and today's guest, Ralph Russo. It adds to the podcast. Other podcasts I have listened to from other sites haven't been as entertaining while still dispensing information. Thank you and keep up the good work.
Well, thank you, Jerry.
Thank you, Jerry.
That's
and
awesome.
It's amazing because we do randomly choose our winners, but we actually chose somebody who is very nice and very polite.
Yes. There was one person that I can tell you definitely didn't win.
She was not very nice.
She was not very nice, and she said for me to put up the ukulele. So
yeah, if you tell Jake to pack up the ukulele, you will not
you
win.
do not get put into the bunch that we actually randomly select. Well, thank you, Jerry. Before the podcast, I was asking Megan who won. She said Jerry Seeger, and I said, "Oh, brother of Bob," and she had no clue what I meant there.
No, I had no idea.
Bob Seeger, and you said, "Is that
like an ESPN sports comp? Not that you would even. I don't even know why I would assume you would.
Bob
know that.
Seeger is one of the greatest rock and roll singer-songwriters of all time.
Oh,
He did.
man.
You ever heard the song?
Are you gonna play it on the uke?
I pick it up. Old Time of Rock and Roll.
Yeah.
I like just take those old records off the shelf. That one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think he did Turn the Page too, and he did
Wow.
a bunch of So I was hoping you'd be like, oh, brother of Bob, that's funny, but
No.
Jerry, I'm sure you probably get that a lot.
So congratulations, Jerry.
All right, and then let's put this down. It's vegetarianism and clean eating. We should talk about that next week.
Absolutely.
'Cause I actually do have some thoughts on vegetarianism, the good and the bad.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you, Mr. Jerry. And then again, to win your Yeti, email us podcast@thealternativedaily.com. Subject line Yeti, and tell us what supplement you would like. Oh, not what you would like. Which one?
What
you take.
supplements you take,
Yep.
if any. If
Yeah,
you don't take any supplements,
you can say none.
you can still say you don't take any supplements.
So the next thing, this is actually really in the current events right now. Yesterday in my old state of Virginia, there was a shooting that happened in
horrible
by
shooting.
Smith Mountain Lake. Is that where it was?
Mhm, yeah, near Roanoke.
Near Roanoke. Beautiful area too, by the way. Right out Roanoke, it's right by Blacksburg, which is where Virginia Tech is. And there was also a crazy shooting there about 6 or 7
I
years
remember
ago,
being
yeah.
in college when that happened.
It was bad. And so yesterday, live on air, there were two. It was the cameraman and the
reporter,
the reporter.
Allison Parker and Adam Ward, and a third person was shot. So basically what was happening was they were doing a live interview during the morning news, and Allison Ward, who was 24 years old, was interviewing a woman about this new sort of shopping center plaza that had just opened, with lots of restaurants and stores and whatnot. And during the interview, live on air, a man by the name of Vester, who his television name was Bryce Williams, who was actually a former disgruntled employee of that news station, shot and killed the woman, the interviewer, and the cameraman, Amanda and Adam, and also seriously injured, the woman being interviewed. She's still in the hospital. Her condition has been upgraded to stable. So she is expected to make a full recovery as far as, physically, I would imagine. But unfortunately, the 27-year-old cameraman and the 24-year-old girl who was the interviewer, Amanda, were both killed. And for me personally, I know you feel very close to home because of where it happened, but I am a reporter. I do go out into the field and I interview people and I do those sort of
things. Does it ever cross your head, cross your mind, like somebody can come behind me?
No, and that's the thing that makes this so shocking and so crazy is, does it ever cross your mind when you're doing your job that somebody could just come in and kill you? That's what makes it so crazy, is to think that this happened. And what was so, for lack of a better word, and I apologize, for what was so amazing about what happened was when the cameraman, Adam, was shot and went down, he was still recording.
Right.
And so on live television, not only did the shooting get broadcasted, but the actual killer himself was caught on camera.
Right. So right when we were talking about the story, you asked me if I had seen the video. Mm-hmm. I did not plan on. I did not want to see it. But when you were going through on Facebook yesterday, and Facebook does the auto play their videos, it was. I was scrolling through, and it just came up, and and I was like, this is it. So, and I was actually just about like to have a call. And so I seen, it's like only like 20 or 30 seconds. Yep. And I saw it happen. And I saw it from his point of view, not from the live point of view. Oh. And it sucked because I was watching it. As soon as it ended, like the call, like the phone rang, I had to pick it up and be like, oh, hey, how's it going? It's disturbing. Right. And did you see it?
I saw it, like the actual live broadcast of it. And I was watching it and I had such a pit in my stomach because I was thinking about the fact that this poor girl, I mean, all three of them, like, their final minutes almost on air getting broadcast like that. And then it's so horrible what happened. And what's incredible is now it's amazing that we were talking about Facebook earlier. It's amazing, like, the power of the internet and social media and how quickly everything happened because this killer, Vester Lee Flanagan, he recorded it himself wearing a body cam and then uploaded it to social media on his own Twitter. Yeah. And it was amazing because within minutes, Twitter and Facebook both deactivated his accounts. Yep. So you couldn't see it. But obviously, that's still enough time for the internet to take it and run with it.
I was thinking about this morning when we were going to talk about this was here's the unfortunate part. I'm going to make a bold prediction here right now is this was completely new to everybody. The whole idea of it actually being live streamed and broadcast and everything. There's so many like live streaming services now, like you have your Periscope and Meerkat and stuff like that. And not to downplay this one, because the loss of 2 lives is terrible. Even one is terrible. What I think is going to happen, because there's definitely crazy people that are looking at this and being like, how can I top that, right? And it's terrible, but the reality of it is like, there will be, and within 1 or 2 years or less than that, there's going to be people that are going to have a mass shooting that will be live broadcast. It's just crazy. God. And it's going to happen because I love the vehicle of the internet. I love everything that's happening, and this is just one of the byproducts of it. And
unfortunately, it gives crazy people a platform.
Right. I mean, you think if that guy in Virginia Tech, if he had the technology, would he have broadcast that? And these people are crazy, and they
have websites.
They want
people.
Their names to get out. They want their manifestos to get out. They want all these things to get out. And so the crazy part is, now that, and these mass shootings are terrible, absolutely awful, and they're going to get worse because now people are going to actually say, you know what? Oh, he actually did this for 2 people. I want my voice heard. I want to top that, and so I'm going to get more people, and that's my concern. That's
why I didn't even really I inadvertently watched the video. I did not think that they were actually going to show it, online, but that's why. And I don't even like to like to mention them, but, when you see all these horrible things, like when these terrorists, ISIS loves to use social media, big proponent of putting on the internet when they kill their prisoners and they're all these horrible things that we've seen. I never, ever, ever watch them, ever. I have never seen a single one, hand to God, because I just don't want to be a part of that. And I don't think people are bad for watching things like that because I know that it's human nature. You just sort of have to see it, or you want to see something.
Right.
It's just, you just have to, right? But the problem is it gives this platform for, social media. If anybody has a Facebook page or a Twitter, your ideas can get out there, And so it is so crazy, like with the mass shooting that happened in Charleston at the church, which this asshole Vester Lee Flanagan said he was inspired by. That guy had a website where he was posting all this crazy stuff, and so many of them, even that Virginia Tech shooter, remember? They found those photos of him online posing with all the guns and the whole thing. And it's just it's so sad that these people are so lonely and they're so fucked up, for lack of a better word. Excuse me.
Man, we're gonna have the explicit tag on us now.
But it's so sad because this is the way that they feel that they are going to get out there. And it's like, we hate to even give these people any attention, but this is such an important, relevant topic to be talking about. And what makes it so heartbreaking more than anything is we are in this new generation where things this sick are now being broadcasted on live television. Yeah,
it was, I think, maybe 20 or 30 years ago. I think this was the last time.
Where the guy committed suicide on air? Yeah, yes. A news reporter shot himself
and
on
that was
air.
Crazy. That was unheard of. And
again,
he just didn't, he was doing it himself. He wasn't shooting anybody else. And that was like crazy unheard of. And I remember like even like my parents talking about it, and when they were bringing it up at a meal a while ago. And I was like, that's crazy they did it on TV. And now like this is, It's just crazy. And I mean, it's one of those things where you don't necessarily need the TV to broadcast this anymore. So I'm just afraid that in the next, couple of years, there's going to be something, a bigger thing with somebody who broadcasts it. It's because this is just going to make crazier people want to top it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, our thoughts are with everybody out there who's affected by something like this. And again, for me personally, being that I am in the same industry, I can't imagine just how sad and how horrible that would be. Just two people doing their job at 6 o'clock in the morning.
So that's what happened. That was, I guess you could say, our take on it. But let's lighten it up because I actually truly believe in the all progressing humanity of people.
That's right. And there are some good things that come out of the internet.
There's a lot of good things that come out of the internet.
So a quick background. Many people have heard of this gentleman, but some of you might not have. His name is Brandon Stanton. A couple of years ago, he started a website. He created a blog. He's a photographer, and it was called Humans of New York. And what he was doing was actually going around, just took his camera with him. He lived in New York City and would just photograph people, just randomly go up to people on a park bench, people walking down the street, and photograph them. And my girlfriend, who lived in New York, it was 2 years ago, she told me, oh, you've got to follow this guy on Instagram and find him on Facebook. He's so amazing. He had 150,000 followers. You've got to follow him online. He posts these crazy photos of just normal people in New York, but he interviews them and he'll put captions with the photos. And he's incredible at getting just amazing information out of people. And what was so cool about it is I started following him, Humans of New York, and he'll post a photo of, a man in a business suit or a police officer or a teenage girl. And then he posts these captions, and it's like you're getting a window inside people that you would never see. The gentleman that's standing there in the business suit that you're walking by on the street, who's saying he's dying of cancer, or the teenage girl that's saying she's afraid to come out to her parents. It's like, and it really shed light on the fact that it's everybody has their own story, and it's just so amazing to think of how we're all very connected by that. Fast forward now. He's had a couple books come out. I purchased one of them. It's an amazing coffee table book called Humans of New York, and it's just a compilation, and their photographs are beautiful. But what is more amazing is you see a photo of just a quote, normal looking person like myself or whatnot. And they just have these heart-wrenching or very uplifting things that they're talking about. And he is just so incredible. Now on his Facebook page, he's got over 10 million followers. Wow. I mean, this is incredible to think about. So last year, he did a tour with the United Nations where he actually went around to different countries. I mean, we are talking about Iran and Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, all these places, and was photographing people. And what's so cool about it was, we're thinking about these third world countries or these terrorist place, whatever you want to say about it, the Middle East, or not just the Middle East, Europe or wherever, these places that are so remote. And then, he's in Petra taking a photo of a guy who the quote that he used was something about how he just broke up with his girlfriend. And it was so amazing because you think, wow, you're very connected to somebody. You have something in common with somebody across the globe. Yeah. So earlier this year, he photographed a young boy who lived in a not so great area of Brooklyn, New York. And the quote that the kid said was something about how his hero was the principal of his elementary middle school because I can't remember her name, Mrs. So-and-so, always empowers us that we're going to do better and we're going to make it out of the projects and whatnot. And he was so moved, Brandon Stanton, the photographer, that he actually went to that school and photographed some of the teachers and the principal and all of these different people. And they ended up creating a GoFundMe, a fundraiser. Yeah. And within less than a week, he raised over $1 million to get money for this school in an inner city in Brooklyn. This amazing scholarship was created. All of this wonderful stuff happened. So that was earlier this year, and he got a lot of acclaim for it, and people started looking into Humans of New York. Fast forward about a month ago, and I am a prolific follower of his. I love his work. About a month ago, he went on another one of these United Nations tours, and he was in Pakistan, and right now, currently, he's in Iran. But when he was in Pakistan, he was posting these incredible photos. And of course, everybody, think about it. There are over 10 million people following it. So people like me and you that live, in Florida, but there are people that live in Romania or, Canada or Brazil that follow it as well. And it's so moving. So he created a GoFundMe account. Many of us, and I had no idea, there's something called bonded labor, and it affects millions of people in Pakistan. One of the biggest industries in Pakistan is creating bricks.
Okay.
And there's bonded labor there, and it's a form of modern day slavery. And what they're talking about,
bonded labor?
Bonded labor is almost like being an indentured servant. So somebody like you, who God forbid somebody in your family needs medical attention, and you're from the slums of Pakistan, you would go to somebody for a loan, and then you work that loan off.
Got it.
But these bonded laborers, these owners, basically then say, oh no, well, there's interest. It's basically a form of slavery.
Got it.
Then when you die, it just gets passed on to your children.
Got it.
And they say that they're estimated that it's like 7 million people are affected by bonded labor.
Wow.
It's crazy. There is a woman named Fatima who is a founder of a group called the Bonded Labor Liberation Front. She is an incredible, incredible woman in Pakistan. She personally has dedicated her life to helping people get out of these bonded labor situations.
Yeah.
She has been beaten. She's been shot. She's been electrocuted. She's been jailed. I mean, she's incredible, and nothing stops her. So what Brandon Stanton decided to do was document her for a couple of days and post these photos on his website, on Facebook, on Instagram, to let all of us know who have never even heard of bonded labor what it is. He started another GoFundMe fundraiser, and it was an Indiegogo, and it was called Let's Help Fatima End Bonded Labor. Within the first 12 hours, and I donated as well, within the first 12 hours, it raised $1 million.
Oh my God.
In 12 hours. And it raised over 5 days, $2.3 million.
Wow.
It is just incredible to me to think that this is something that's positive coming out of the internet. This is something where you read these stories, and I would encourage anybody that is on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or even online to look up Humans of New York. You will be completely blown away. It is my absolute favorite thing that is on the internet, honestly. And it's just so amazing. And it makes you feel good because you think about Pakistan or Iran or these places that are always on the news because of the one horrible thing, like if you think about a newspaper, the tiny little column that allows for international news, it's always that horrible story that comes out of Pakistan, right? But when you see something like through his lens, there's a lot of beauty over there, and there's a lot of wonderful people in this world. And so I hope one day he wins the Nobel Prize because he's just such
Where's
an incredible...
he from? Is he from New York?
Yeah, he went to Cornell.
Okay.
So, I mean, he's just an incredible person. And so it's kind of nice to think that in all the horrible things that happen on the internet, somebody like Brandon Stanton and Humans of New York is sort of...
That's awesome.
You can also see that there's good out there, too.
That's absolutely awesome. And I think hopefully, in addition to donations and people giving, I hope it also inspires people to do other things on their own too, to be more like that.
Exactly.
There's one thing, and I think it's awesome to give money to it. Absolutely. I think that, without that, you wouldn't have it. But then also to, inspire you to take that another step forward to do something else for humanity, which is awesome. Really cool.
I volunteered this past weekend at a back to school event.
I saw that.
Yeah, my girlfriend, speaking of how charitable I can be, my girlfriend, I have an amazing friend named Rachel who started a charity about 5 years ago called Style Saves. And it's funny because she's a fashion stylist, and she had the idea that she wanted to get together clothing donations because she thought, when kids, especially in Dade County, but all across the world, first day of school, so many kids out there, we don't even realize, don't have backpacks and don't have new shoes or nice things to wear. And you imagine how that must affect a kid, let alone the family, but the actual, eighth grader who doesn't have something clean to wear on the first day.
Yep.
So she started this charity, which it's so amazing to see something that just was an idea become this huge organization now. And over this past weekend, over 2,000 kids in the Dade County area, we actually dressed. And we had this amazing, we used the Arch Center. It's like the big, where all the off-Broadway shows come. Yeah. This giant center, this convention center. And over 2 days, my mom came with me and we volunteered, and we gave out clothes and shoes and backpacks and school supplies. I was in charge of one of the fun craft areas. So I did all the tie-dye. That's why I still have tie-dye all over my hands. But there was finger painting, and they gave out snacks and food. There was education depending on what grade. They you could get information packets on how to apply for college,
Yeah.
or how to work hard to get on your SATs, or how to go into middle school. I mean, it was for all ages. And it was really amazing to see how many people came and really had nothing, you know,
Yeah.
and then these families have 4 kids or 3 kids and whatnot, and like being able to give these little kids, or kids my age, you know, not my age, I forget how old I am, you know, teenagers, clothing and backpacks and stuff for the first day of school. And it's so that organization is called Style Saves.
Good for you.
You should check it
That's
out. Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's
it
absolutely
felt
awesome.
really good, you know.
No, that's, and I'm glad we end it with a lot of these positive things, and especially what Megan's doing. And I know that you weren't obviously doing shameless self promotion of there, but I saw that on Facebook and everything.
Yeah,
so
yeah, I posted a photo.
good for you. That's
Thank you.
I wish I could do more of that. You know, I need to do more of that basically, and that's it's very humbling to me. So good job.
Thank you. That's very kind.
And then lastly, we forgot to talk about this.
I was wondering
we
when
have
you
a
were
few
gonna bring
minutes
this
left,
up.
and I'm going to bring it up. I'm just going to wrap it up.
So I got a text message from Jake this morning with a link that said we have to discuss this on the podcast.
Yeah. So this is called The Rabbit Who Wants to Fall Asleep, a new way of getting children to sleep. I'm sure we could spend actually a whole podcast talking about it, because the guy who wrote it is
It's a book.
He's an NLP master practitioner. You know what that is? It's
No.
like neuro-linguistic programming, where you can
Whoa.
do a lot more stuff with your brain and stuff like that, right? And I'm sure I'm doing it. It's actually it's an interesting school of thought, I guess I could say.
So he wrote this book.
So this guy right here wrote this book.
That's some picture.
Yeah. And but here's the thing. Here's the deal. It's like, suppose it's using different psychological triggers to make your kid fall asleep. So we tried it last night.
Because if there is ever a tough audience, it is Noah.
It is Noah. So let me just. Nobody here can see it at home. But look, it starts here.
There's a lot of writing in there
It's
for
a
a
lot
children's
of
book.
writing, and it's
It's a big book.
it's actually not. It's like not thick, but these are like, they're not 8.5 by 11s, but they're pretty damn close.
There's a lot of writing. The writing
It's
looks like a normal,
yeah.
adult book.
Usually we're used to books right now that have maybe max 10 words on each
Right,
page.
of course.
And so this one, like, literally, I was joking to Gina, which was like, I know why people fall asleep, because it's like reading like Roots or War and Peace. I mean, it's so long. And so kind of like, here, I'll give you an example. You're supposed to do, where's one? You're supposed to do stuff like this. It's words that are bolded, you're supposed to give emphasis to, and then you're supposed to do names. So it says like, relax your feet, Noah. And when you say the bunny's name, his name is Roger, you're supposed to like do a yawn sign. So bear with me, this one sentence.
Okay, so start over.
Ready? I just coughed into the mic. I'm supposed to cough away from the mic. Relax your feet, Noah. Roger. And you do as heavy-eyed owl tells you, and now relax your feet. It's like, you're supposed to read it doing that? I mean,
It's almost like hypnotizing your kid.
I'm not for it. So like she tried.
You fell asleep before Noah
I have a
did.
gift. I have a gift. When I lay my head to bed, I'm gone.
That's Colin.
We kind of like say, count back from 30, I'll be gone. And so I can do that. So I fell asleep. Was it to this? Probably not. But Gina said she read through the whole book, and Noah's just kind of like up and ready to do whatever. So I'm calling BS on it. Now, it does say in the front, like, it says, don't read this to anybody driving. And it says, we do have to give a disclaimer. There's actually a disclaimer on this book, and I don't know. And here's what it says. Disclaimer, even if this book is harmless to use, the author and the publisher take no responsibility for the outcome. I mean, I think it literally is like trying to hypnotize people. So we bought it off of Amazon, and it's me versus Noah tonight. My wife is out of town. I'm not gonna try and read this big thing. We're gonna opt for Toy Story or Lion. Actually, Lion King's probably what we go for. So, yeah, that's it. That thing is full of,
and that is
not
called
sleeping.
The Rabbit Who Wants to Fall Asleep.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of trippy too.
It's an interesting concept, but it's just a lot of writing in that book for a little kid.
I've seen it on my Facebook feed, like a bunch of articles doing like, this is guaranteed to make your child fall asleep. Bull.
Beep.
Bull beep. Yeah, we've already have the expletive because of you. But,
I'm sorry.
But so yes, that's what I wanted to cover really quickly. So that's it.
All right. So remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to win a Yeti Hopper, you've got to email us at podcast@thealternativedaily.com. Subject line Yeti. And in the email, please tell us if you take any supplements, what you thought about our podcast today, And that's about it. Remember to say hi and please and thank you. Just
Megan,
like your mom taught you.
Where can you find us? I see you all the time on Instagram doing crazy like spider or like scorpion poses.
Oh yeah,
I put
that's a cool picture I posted on Instagram.
Yes.
I'm very bendy. You can find us. You can find us online at thealternativedaily.com. We are also on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest. Just search The Alternative Daily.
That's it. Well, thank you, everybody. This is actually one of our longest podcasts, but it's a good show.
Good one.
It's a good show. And then if you have anything you want to tell us, email us always podcast@thealternativedaily.
And we will write you back.
And Megan will write you back.
Unless you don't say anything nice, and then I won't write you back. I'll block you.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your week.
Bye, guys. See you next week.
Oh.